All right, welcome back to the Pear Genius Podcast. We have the world famous Jaime White with us, probably one of my favorite podcasters in the universe. I've actually done a few podcasts with her on her podcast, and that helped me become even more awesomer at podcasting. So welcome, Jaime.
Mm-hmm. And now you have the better microphone, so I'm jealous as we've transitioned to a new country.
You have the better location, though.
I do have a good location.
Mm-hmm. So we're always striving for perfection, but perfection is such a sliver. Mm-hmm. So we might as well just be grateful for what we do have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you can see the jungle in my background, then you'll know that, I've set up my studio. It's appropriate. I've got the microphone, and then you'll really be jealous.
Right?
Yeah, I'll be jealous, and then there'll be a monkey that jumps out and rips your eyes out, and then you can't even see the jungle, and then therefore I win.
You win. Yes.
So monkey poop, and it's real. Like the little bit that we've learned about the animals here, the only thing that we don't love about the monkeys is the monkey poop.
Like the fact that they're grabbing it and throwing it at you?
They just, wherever they are, wherever they're having fun playing the next morning, like just expect to be a lot of poop.
So they don't clean up after themselves.
No, exactly. They don't carry little doggy bags with them, nothing.
Monkey bags. Mm-hmm. You should put something in the tree and with a picture, because they can't read, but it'll be clean up after yourself, you damn dirty apes.
Yeah. No,
That's
otherwise
the apes.
I understand.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Our kids are loving. I have one specifically. He hangs out in the hammock and then he sends us little videos. So it doesn't matter if it's the ants, the monkeys, the foxes, or the iguanas. Like we're constantly getting little animal updates.
Oh, wow.
Fun.
So for a little bit of background for everybody listening at home, you used to live in crazy Wisconsin, the dairy capital of the universe. And now you live in the jungles of Mexico at an undisclosed secret location.
Yes, a mile from the ocean. Yeah. So for 43 years, we lived in Wisconsin. I grew up in Wisconsin. And honestly, the fact that you guys have snow and cold right now is so foreign to me. Like it's almost like I never lived there. Like my life has changed so much that I just can't, like I thought that I would still be connected to the past or be connected to what I used to know. And now I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I just can't even understand. And the reason I share that, I think, is just to create awareness of whatever situation that we're in is so present and important to us, but that other people can't necessarily understand it. Especially, it doesn't even matter if they used to understand it. Like my mom died and my sister died 30 days apart. And so we were in the thick of it in 2006. And I can have empathy, when you lose someone in your life. But honestly, again, I'm so removed from that it's not a part of my life anymore. So like whatever you're in the middle of and whatever is like really important to you right now, there's so few people that understand it.
And that makes me think about connections with people as well, because whatever moment of time you're in, you have a collective around you that belongs in that moment. And not everybody is meant to go moment to moment with you, and how grateful you have to be for whoever's there at the time.
Oh, wow, that's true. Wow. And the thing that I've learned from making the move, like so it was about a year ago that Kevin said to me, where do you see us 3 years from now? It was literally out of the blue, Saturday morning, conversation. And I said, I was kind of mad almost because I'd been thinking about it for so long that I really didn't even want to say it again. Like I still see us serving business owners where they're coming to us. But we were in the middle of central Wisconsin. That wasn't really a vacation destination. I mean, other than water parks. And he's like, well, what do we need to do that now? Like bringing it into the present, making it so tangible instead of just an out there dream. And he said, do we need to move to Mexico? And I call it a divine download because I literally don't know where it came from. There wasn't a conversation that we've been having for years about the idea of moving to Mexico. It wasn't on my radar, but there were like all these little green check marks that went off in my head where it was like, check, 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 and oh my word, we're ready. Like we could, this is a thing. And people could see us where we actually see ourselves. Like putting ourselves where we actually see ourselves. And so within a half hour, we went and told our kids. They said yes, thinking we said New Mexico.
No, we said Old Mexico. Yeah.
And so then 15 minutes after they said yes, they were like, wait, what did you say? It's like, well, we don't know Spanish, but it's actually Mexico that we're planning on moving to. And so it took a little bit for them to adjust, but honestly, we've raised them so intuitively, and to be able to check in with what feels right, even if it doesn't make logical sense, or even, you know, like we don't do that anymore of like pros and cons charts. You know, it's more of, and so they all checked in, and it was like, who wants to go with us? This is where we feel called to next. And 5 of the 6 kids, I mean, the only reason the oldest isn't, yeah, I mean, partially he prefers the mountains, and there aren't a lot of mountains here, but he's also in the Army. So that's the only reason that the oldest really didn't say yes to going. But so it has been an incredible journey. Like after that conversation in January, the amount, you know this, you guys got rid of everything years ago. Like the amount of letting go and surrendering that goes into the process of downsizing to backpacks. Like it gets real.
But it's very freeing.
It's so freeing, but we, you know, 6 months after we left, we wouldn't fit back into backpacks. Like seriously, what is it about this consumer mindset? Anyway.
It's true.
Yeah. What are the age ranges of your kids?
So from 5 to 20.
And so the 20-year-old did not come?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, from 5 to 22. The 20-year-old did come. I see.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha. So did you actually present it to them in the form of a question, who wants to come with us?
It was very much a part of that. Like, this is where Dad and I feel called to, and this is, you know, we're going to be selling the house. So I mean, they have a few options, but it was, we have 3 older boys, like I said, the oldest in the Army. So 2 older boys that could have chosen to stay easily. And then even the younger ones, we would have been very open to what felt right for them. But it's really, we've created this culture that is so supportive of each other with this family concept where everyone has a voice, and you have an equal vote. Like Kevin and I could be voted off the island. But then they also really respect our intuition and discernment as well. So like it's a mix. Yeah.
I don't think our kids trust us.
Well, I mean, that's, so when we did it to them, right? I mean, that was 2017. They were quite a bit younger. Both of our parents were going through cancer. Like it was a big deal moving them away from family.
Yeah.
And we suffered along with them for years while they were trying to find themselves and reground into new space.
Yeah. But we didn't ask them either.
We didn't ask them because they were so young. We couldn't have, and it was an emergency situation from my body that I actually had to leave Manitoba.
Right.
So is there a change in your body now that you're in a new space?
Oh my goodness, that's such a good question. And I want to go back to the previous thing where we did disconnect from family, toxic family, prior to the move. So we had already cocooned our family in a way that it was almost like we're ready to do something new, like something transformational. And we were almost waiting, like everyone had been kind of disconnecting already. Like there was a process of that. But the body thing, oh my word, I didn't know that I had anxiety. Like I don't even think of myself as someone that has anxiety much, but when I go to the ocean and reset for 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, this is different. It's like it's so different to be this in alignment. I've never lived this in alignment. I mean, to be barefoot, I was barefoot in Wisconsin in the winter, so I was still being me, but it was in a culture, in an environment that was not in alignment with me. And so then it was still out of alignment. The conversations were out of alignment. Like the things that, what I say now, because there's people that want to live on like self-sustained land. I'm like, if you live in the Midwest, you pretty much are self-sustaining. You have to have your own chainsaw and do everything yourself, versus in Mexico, I don't even have a garage to hold a chainsaw. Everything is services based. Like, yes, thank you. I would love that fixed. Please come on over. Kevin and I don't have the tools to fix anything. We don't even have a spot to hold the tools. And if we do, the bag gets moldy from all the mold. So really, what's the point? So like, for me, in alignment is hiring people to do things that I'm not good at. And here, that's the expectation. It's not that I'm going to go out and cut my own tree down and solve all my own problems. And so my body is like loving it. Thank you for asking.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm like lit up all over my body. So I can feel the truth in everything that you're saying for you.
For me, and that's the point. Like, what is in alignment for you? I do not want people to come to the ocean if you're called to the mountains, or like, I know that you feel Sedona or Arizona, or like maybe it's dry heat, whatever it is that energy piece is for you. Like, I want you to live there and be in that.
Right. That's exactly true. When we left the prairies, it was so we were looking for more protection because we didn't know how to cocoon ourselves from our toxic family in Manitoba. And so just to have the insane grounding of the mountains and the power and the protection was exactly what we needed for this chapter.
Yes.
So you just have to be able to tune in and listen to what your body is asking for.
What you're saying about that, how many people are not listening to their body? Like, when I try and do that work now with clients, because I prefer to work on strategy, but what I say is I can't get to the strategy if we haven't actually done the work, like some of the soul care type work. And so it's just going to get in the way. We can create all kinds of amazing strategies, but you're either not going to implement it, or you're not going to step up into the person you're capable of being if there's all these fears around, I can't be that person. And so I'll ask them to feel it in their body, or where do you feel that in their body? And I can tell if they could send daggers through the computer, I would be getting like, I get it. I was there. But now I know that the two have to come together.
I would say that one of our biggest realizations is escapism. Like us leaving to try and get away from something that was making us unwell. And as much as the move made us physically better, there's still some things that haunt us that we do need to work on. But this was such an epic step, because feeling better and being physically healthy again helps you now start working on the things that could haunt your soul.
Right. Like, which comes first, right? Like, how do you, and I asked Kevin this the other day. I know this maybe sounds simple to everyone else, but I was like, hold on, this is actually a fragile thought for me. So please, kind of treat it that way. But which comes first, being a billionaire or having a billionaire mindset? And he was sort of like, is this a trick question? Like, a billionaire mindset, And so what comes first? Like, having a healthy mindset about it, or being healthy. And it's really hard to create space for health in a toxic environment. 100%.
So I'm wondering if it's an individualized answer, or is there a set formula for mind, body, spirit? Which one do you work on first? But I feel like it must be different for everybody, because in order for me to be able to even access my spiritual side, I had to leave Manitoba. I had to get my body in a place where it was more at ease.
Right. Where you're not in fight or flight the whole time. Like, your adrenals are literally on, what is it, running on overtime or something. Someone said to me today, she said, I think this is the first time that my nervous system is at a neutral, like where it's not feeling that buzz. I don't think we realize how much anxiety is in our body. That's something that Kevin and I have become more and more aware of. Like, when we're doing something and trying to be somebody we're not, and then trying to just burn out, like, it's a form of anxiety. Like, there's that buzz.
I don't know if you know this. I just learned it recently, but there's a good portion, I would say like 30 to 50% of people apparently don't have an inner dialogue.
Oh, like the voice in your head, you're saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can turn the voice down? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So are these the people that just go about their lives living a physical and a mental experience? Maybe not even so much, well, maybe almost no spiritual. You're just basically on autopilot doing these things with and maybe you could be very successful as a human doing these things, but I always feel like I'm constantly in my head thinking and trying to level up and do things differently.
So now when I'm working with clients and I say, okay, let's be able to say I am, and whatever that is, and we feel it in the body, it's interesting because a lot of times we feel it in the head, and a lot of times then it's because we've been overthinking it. So there's a combination of both, of like, I asked someone one time if he had voices in his head, like and he was like, yeah, but it's my coach. I was like, go you. I don't think most people have a coach that's like, he's like, yeah, it's just saying you got this, go. That's not everyone's voice. That's not everyone's experience. Yeah.
That's funny because we were talking to Rob Nilken last week, and he went to Peru. He's in the Netherlands right now. And he said his big moment of change came when he heard a voice. And it was this deep. And then I went away thinking about that. I'm like, the only voice I've ever heard is my own. And for a voice to come in that wasn't in my resonance I wouldn't be able to trust it. So then I'm wondering, when people hear the voice or they hear, some kind of inspirational sound, is it in their own tone?
Right. I would say it's different for everyone because Kevin and I, the work that we do, I'm very visual. Like I told you, I saw all green check marks, right? And Kevin has not been that visual. Now the more work that we do, he's actually like, oh, I saw a visual this time, something like that. But I would say for some people, trusting the feeling and trusting yourself, right? And then the voice, or like an audible voice or a visual, is definitely like, how do you want to receive it? What's a safe way for you to receive information and trust that information? For me, I get like this instant kind of a knowing, and some people need to sit on it. They have like an emotional wave. Some people feel it in their gut. Like there's just this, like, Alex, are you wearing a black shirt today? Like, just how can you, for you, knowing what, how to trust yourself in that I think that goes back to what we're trying to teach our kids and what we have been, which is, this is what we're doing and what we feel called to, but what do you guys feel? And we first started to bring that into our family through family meetings a couple of years ago. And my oldest, who hadn't been raised that way, he was like, so a dictatorship seems more efficient, but I can see how this is more effective. So, like, I do like the dictator option, but after a while, it's decision fatigue. How do I know what's right for you or best for you? And so then we had our kids, and we were doing religion in a home church. And then we were starting to actually give them a choice, which felt really weird because we grew up like, this is when you go, this is how you go, we all go together, this is the time. And so it felt weird for both of us. And like, we soul school our kids. We let them choose what they want to learn. And I say it's in beta. Like, I'm not saying that this is a proven formula. What I can tell you is that it's working for us, but we had to unlearn as parents how to step back from freaking out with our own fears and putting that on the kids and letting them trust their choices. It's taking years. I just want you to know, this is not an overnight success.
But I think that's that's a healthier way to do it, instead of raising kids that are going to, basically hate like Catholicism or, why are you forcing me to do all these things I don't want to do? And then you have this huge spiritual pause in your journey, which we got from Mike Spice. I thought that was fantastic, the spiritual pause. But I think that our generation, were victims of this kind of thing where it's like, no, you just are following us, your parental dictatorships.
Yeah.
That's
hey, I was that. Just saying, like, I was that for the first 3 kids. And now what I'm seeing is that we're here, our generation is here to be a bit of a bridge between the generation. I mean, there's a lot of generational wealth transfer that's going to be happening. There's a lot of, our future is in this next generation's hands, and they need to be more spiritual and able to trust themselves, because we literally don't have a clue how to handle what's coming. Like, There's just so much change. I'm not talking about going from the horse to the automobile. I'm talking about, AI and just levels of things that we didn't even have. There was nothing like this in our growing up. So if they can't trust themselves, how are they going to ask us? We don't know.
Yeah, you're 100% right. That's exactly it.
I think our kids are on the right track. I think we do a pretty good job. We're pretty awake. The Great Awakening is at hand.
Right.
Yeah, I think that you nailed it in that we're the bridge. You know, like as we're kind of rising and awakening, they're watching it while they still have a toe dipped into that old institutional teaching method, right? But now they're able to say, oh, well, if that doesn't resonate, and that's my word for 2025, the word resonance is like a big deal for me. If it doesn't resonate with them, they're able to say, okay, I'm going to leave that there and put my energy here. Yeah. And that's all I can ask of them right now, because even I'm like, okay, so where am I going? Like, I'm trying to figure me out still.
Yeah. I paid for some work for our kids because, of course, the more work we do, the more I realize, like, oh, bummer. Like, there's stuff that we did to them that they might need to heal from. And so I paid for that last summer. I was like, guys, I want you to work with this lady that does generational healing work on, family imprint stuff, like just help clear out anything that Dad and I did unintentionally. Love you. Here's a session. And they had like one session. They're very fast learners. And I tried to engage them in something and they were like, Mom, that's not ours. We left that. And I was like, wow. Could I take the rest of your sessions? Because I don't know that I'm there yet.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
They were like, sure, you can have our session.
But that says a lot of good things about you guys. That's a nice.
Oh, thanks, Alex.
No, that's
I thought we were going to roast. You were supposed to roast me, or was it roasting your wife in this session?
He's roasting me always.
I see.
Yeah, it's me. I'm the victim.
Yeah.
I do have a feeling too, though, that while we carry deep generational trauma, like I know that we both do, but I think that even though I think sometimes the kids do, I don't think it's as deep for them. And maybe that's because we've done a little bit of the work.
Do you think
there is some of that
trauma?
Oh, I don't know, actually. I mean, I think so, but I'd have to sit on it.
I have some self-worth stuff that I'm trying to work through, but maybe that. I would say that my list is very short, though.
I would think so too, yeah.
The rest is just me and my dad trying to like figure that out, but I feel more sad for my dad lately that I know that he will die without facing his demons, and that makes me sad.
That's painful.
That makes me sad for him. I would have loved to see him conquer them before he dies. He still has time. Both. I don't want to, I don't want to speak for him, but he's not doing the work.
My dad told me I hate coaching. And so that was kind of the moment that I knew we were probably not going to be going in the same direction.
Right.
Thank you.
It's not for everyone.
No.
He might not even have inner dialogue.
Right. And he's living his best life.
There you go. And because you're not living his best life.
Right. No, my heart is for family business owners and next gens, people that have been, because there is something definitely different about our DNA. Like we can't just walk away from the company like we're walking away from a job. Like those are our clients, our customers. It's our business, even if our name's not on it. And we don't know how to separate that and disconnect. So I see this happen a lot. And like the dad says, I just want him to respect me. And the son says, I just want him to respect me. Like it's on both sides. And the problem is that I needed to do my own work and go my own way and figure out who I am. And it wasn't with him. So like, he's got to choose. But I really think that choosing growth as an entrepreneur and choosing to grow personally is like the hardest work is choosing to be an entrepreneur and then choosing to do your own work.
It's got to freak out his generation to watch his child not be married to the exact same thing for their entire life and then just die.
This is a huge issue nationwide. I don't know how far it goes, but with the boomer generation that is trying to transfer their wealth to a younger generation and is freaked out by the fact that they don't care about the same things like at all.
Right.
They're like, you want assets and you want to keep your wealth? Like, what are you?
I went on a big boomer rant the other
he really did.
The other thing, I was pretty pissed. I was pissed at a few boomers, and I don't want to like throw them all under the bus, but man, like sometimes they really piss me off.
not saying anything. I'll let that episode.
Yeah, I know.
You might want to talk spiritual things. Was it a spiritual rant?
It's just funny to watch these guys buy a house for like $2,000 and then tell us that we're lazy because, we don't want to do this or that. And I feel like our generation, Gen X, I don't know, you're probably not Gen X. You're not as old as us.
I'm an 81 baby, so I'm right in the...
But
I'm right in the lost generation or whatever that one is.
Right. We're like right at the end of Gen X. And I feel like our parents were that experimental phase where they both had to work. Mom and dad had to work. Right. We were latchkey kids. We basically raised ourselves. And I feel bad for them. Like this whole feminism crap came in and it's like, oh, women empowerment. Meanwhile, it's just a ploy by the government so that you could get twice the taxes and,
It's working, Alex.
Like, it's working. It's working hard, man.
I believe in having a vision, going after it and being strategic about it. So, hey, if the other team's winning, like, good game. Good game.
I just want the government to have less money. And for us, hey, if we both work 4 hours a day and it combines to 8 hours, but we're still getting paid well and not taxed like crazy because it's all about taxing us to death. I'm cool. Like, I'm happy if my wife is successful.
Here's the crazy thing for me. I'm an advocate for considering more of a global economy and how to create and allow people to be and work globally. I really do see this as the future. So I'm living in a different country. Supposedly, if I stay out of the country for 330 days, which I plan to do, then I can claim a little box on my taxes that says it'll like take off the first 200 or 240,000 or something because I don't need to pay taxes on that. I don't know. Like, these are things that we're not trained on. We're not taught. Right. So I didn't know if I lived out of the country, there'd be this. But the other thing that's really curious to me is, like, I'm a part of I guess there are some HOA maintenance fees, but I'm paying way less than we paid in taxes for my HOA maintenance fees. And my garbage is picked up more than once a week. Like, I think it's actually picked up 4 times a week. I don't even know. Things that were normal before. We don't have the school taxes, I think the property taxes here are ridiculously cheap. Like, I don't pay them because we're renting, so I don't pay them directly and I don't know, but there's just this acceptance. You just keep putting money into the system without any awareness of where that money is going. You just pay whatever they say to pay, whatever fee. Now, I will say that and I don't know how much, let's put this disclosure on it. I know very little. I have heard that if you have a commercial business, that there may be a fee to, like, say, the cartels, to protect you. So it's different fees. I mean, what's the difference? Government, cartel.
Oh, it's the same thing. I always say that our government in Canada is basically the mafia.
Right. And mafia is a business. I mean, there's just different ways to do business. But, like, are you getting the value? Are we getting a return? Right. The amount of amenities and the things that I'm getting, I am so thankful. It's in alignment for me. It's what I want. What I was paying for before wasn't in alignment for me. It's not what I wanted.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. I feel like, I mean, I've gone on these rants before too, but I would say in Canada, at the end of the day, probably 60 to 70% of our income is stripped away from us before we even get to enjoy any of it.
Here's my anger with all of it, is that not only is the income stripped away, but you have to figure out how it's stripped away and figure out how much you owe them. Like, just make it easy. If you're going to take my money, like, honestly, a thief does a better job. They come and take it from you. There's no work involved on your part.
Yeah.
Like, not only are they asking for more money and taking your money, but they're making you tell them how much.
It's insanity.
It is insanity.
And people are okay with this.
People are okay.
Yeah.
What?
We're coming to Mexico. I've made up my mind. Thank you. This is the end of the podcast. Goodbye.
Kevin and I are actually going to host some live conversations because there are so many people that apparently want to live differently and aren't giving themselves permission. And I would say the number one things that we hear is our kids and our dogs Like, I'm not sure which one I actually hear more of. It might actually be the dogs.
I would just sneak my dog into Mexico. I don't care.
Apparently a private plane is the right way to go, but there are other options. I've heard multiple, yes. But the private plane, no problem. Yep. A chartered flight from Florida, you know, apparently you can share it. It's only $8,000 to $13,000. It's fine. To get the dog over. But I think this guy paid like $20,000 for his dog. So, I mean, you're kind of,
oh, wow.
It depends on, you know, the conversations here are different, Alex.
I would put my dog in a cooler, drive him over the border, and just say that this is my meal. I'm going to eat him.
Right. Oh, no. Yeah, so,
I'm not actually going to eat him.
I trust you on that. So I have been shocked by the amount of people that are having these conversations and saying, we've been talking about this. And they want to know everything. How are you doing it? How much are you paying in rent? What, you know, and I will tell you, we're living differently. We don't have a car currently, and I don't care. I get deliveries from Costco weekly on Tuesdays.
You have Costco?
In Cancun. And she drives the 2 hours, does all the shopping for me, and comes back and drops it off.
What is happening here?
Why would I go back and do it differently?
Right.
Just saying.
I'm pretty sure you're the Queen of England.
I'm feeling it.
The Queen doesn't drive herself either.
She's dead.
See?
Oh, I'm just saying.
And then whatever she doesn't find on Tuesday at Costco, she goes to a different store and shops for me on Wednesday and sends me pictures to see if those are okay. Like, I'm not going back, Alex. Like, you can't. This is sort of like, once you've gone out of the box, how do you get back in? Like, I don't fit back in to a do it all yourself model that I'm paying extra for.
This is crazy to me because when I think about going down there, I want to fix everything. I still want to be like a farmer and do stuff, but you're making it sound quite royal to go down there and everybody takes care of you.
Our area is more of a hospitality area. There aren't any farms here. Like, I literally asked because I like to go and do behind the scenes tours on any business, and agricultural is, you know, business in that way. And you can't, there's no like pick your own fruit or anything like that here. It's very hospitality oriented. So go to a different part of Mexico if you want to be in the farming community.
We don't. Yeah. This whole farming thing is so silly. We don't actually want to be farmers. I'm sorry, but you really do want to be a handyman. You want to be able to help people. But my hope for you is that you detach money value from that, because it just lights you up. You love to do it. And I think this is the struggle right now.
I'll go be a hitman for the cartel. That'd be fun.
Well, there's that option. But honestly, plumbers are hugely in demand. I'm sure electricians are too. Like, in our area, they're still looking for handymen here. Oh. I don't know what they pay. I don't know what they pay.
I don't want to sound racist or anything, but I always picture Mexicans being really good at working and working hard, and I'm like, who the hell is this gringo to come in and be better than
Here's
them?
The challenge. They don't have the tools that you have. So if you come here, you have to get really good at using 3 tools for everything. I mean, they mow the lawn with a machete. So
oh, wow. That's wild.
I'm telling you, like, if it's fixed, it's because they are very creative with the 3 tools that they have access to. There is a Home Depot, but I think some of the things sell out. I know all these things you didn't know.
Oh my goodness, I'm just picturing. We have to go down.
You thought we were living it rough in the jungle? I am not in that place. We live on a PGA golf course.
Oh my god! Nice. And here I thought you were like Robinson Crusoe in a treehouse, and
no. Wow. The only thing that we've done differently, again, is sold our cars, right? Got a driver for when we need to go to the airport. What?
A driver.
And we're looking at getting, for our vehicle, we're looking at getting either an ATV or a golf cart, or maybe both. Like, those are our big purchases.
Golf cart would be fun.
A 6-seater, since we have such a big family. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Great. Do you guys have a pool?
Everyone has a pool. Like, you can't. Now, there's 2 different ways of living. I mean, that's the other thing too, is like our maid, our cleaning lady, she told me she doesn't have a refrigerator. So like the issues that we have with having full refrigerators that are, to capacity, and the milk that comes in the jug, they don't have that. They have the milk that comes in the cartons because they don't refrigerate it because they don't have refrigerators. So there's two different lifestyles.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know how to go without a refrigerator, so we chose this one.
So they're eating more like fresh foods every day kind of thing.
I'm not sure that that's true either. I mean, like the technician that was here today, I saw him stop for lunch and he had a pretty big bottle of Coke. I don't know if it's all fresh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's the last thing you want to be drinking.
So I'm curious.
Oh no, that's like water down here. Better than water, actually.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
go ahead.
I'm curious about your business. So have you set up a space where you are inviting entrepreneurs to come to you?
It's interesting because that's what we came down here with and started looking for. And in the meantime, realized, oh, we still have a 5-year-old. Like, how do we actually do both realistically? And then also realizing that our kids didn't have the same dream that I have. You know, like I would love for everyone to be living with us and coming down with us. And so we went through this process of looking for properties where we could host business owners on site, only to find out that there are actually hundreds, if not thousands, of places that we could rent for when people come down. So maybe we'll actually stay at a house for our family and then just, you know, like rent the offsite location for then. So right now, that's the current plan. Like having the 5-year-old, having the kids, we shifted and come down. Any client can come down. There's hundreds. Again, there's actually thousands. It's just like, I just tell Airbnb or whatever bookings I got, whatever I'm looking on to like filter it by, you know, this date and this amount and this whatever. And then it starts to go down to the hundreds.
Okay,
but otherwise,
wow. So it's very hospitality friendly.
Very. Your chefs, your drivers, your breath workers, your yoga people, your anyone that you would want. If you want to have a Temazcal ceremony, if you want to eat toad venom, if you want to try Keikoa ceremony, I mean, they're all here. You just have to book them and tell them when, because they're already booking out 3 months out.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's crazy. You know, I bring that up because I kind of knew your plan going down there, that was kind of like you're looking for space to host people. And then I had a dream about you a couple of weeks ago, and I really don't dream regularly about other people, especially because, I mean, he's had podcast interactions with you and I've met you once in person, but that's kind of it. I know Jaime right through Alex.
Right.
You know, so it's like, okay, so I'm paying attention because it's unusual that you're there. And then the other thing was that you were booking a place. I was coming down to be a part of a group of a bunch of other people, and it felt kind of businessy. We get to the place and it's a glass house. And I'm telling you, the walls are glass, the floors are glass, everything is glass. And I'm like looking at you like, how am I supposed to get dressed? I'm going to be buck naked and people are going to be watching me like, I don't understand this. And you're like, oh, no problem. We've got this. And somehow I got dressed. Nobody saw. We attended this event. And then all of a sudden we're in something like warehouse 1 and I'm in a change room trying something on. And the police come to the door and they're like, Jaime doesn't know where you went. I'm like, oh, Jaime, right here. Next time, change rooms are side by side. And then the last scene, you were driving a car and you were driving so recklessly and you're just all over the place. And I'm like, okay, I should be scared, but I'm not because she knows this town. She knows this road. So I'm just going to let it be. And then I woke up.
I love this. I love everything about this. And it kind of, it's like you've been exposing something that I didn't even want to acknowledge, maybe, of like, I am helping people become more vulnerable and more visible in ways and be seen in ways that don't seem comfortable, right? Like all those glass walls and glass everything, like there's nowhere to hide. And how is that okay? How is that safe? Is it safe? You know, and I believe that we're in an era of personal branding. Who are you? I want to know who you are. I mean, people want to know down to like where you get your nails done, how long it takes, and like things that we're not used to thinking people want to know about us or not used to wanting to share. And then wondering how much is too much, how much is not enough, how much, you know, how vulnerable do I need to be? So I love that. And then I don't know about the middle one, like where the changing rooms, but the driving recklessly one. They actually do drive that way down here. And when I first came down here, I was so scared about things that and people were scared for us. right? Like the fears, like what you were saying was there's this crazy, like this seems scary. I should be scared, but I'm not. And that feels like the other thing that I'm helping people do, where getting out of your comfort zone of like, this is scary, but it actually is going to be okay. And we're doing that. The things that I worried about before we came down here are the things I don't care at all about now. Like I sit in the car while Kevin's driving and I'm like, I can't believe this actually made me nervous 6 months ago, because now it's normal. And I understand that he's not, there are times where I thought we were going to die, but we haven't yet. And I've realized that it was because of my perspective of it. It was my perception that this is not safe. There's less accidents here than there were where we were, even to the point of like, the police are carrying a lot bigger guns, right? And so when I first saw them, I'm like, are they the good guys or the bad guys? Like, I'm not even sure. And so our perception, if we haven't done it before and we're entering a new like growth zone, how do you go through that where it's normalized, where like 6 months in, you're like, oh, I can't believe I was worried about that before. Like, it's fine. We're all good.
There's an immense
I love that.
There's an immense mind soothing that happens when you realize that your mind has way too much power over everything else, and you are imbalanced because you're not checking into your spiritual self. You're not checking into your energetic body. The mind has to take a back seat sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yes.
The intuition versus the unease.
The only problem with what you've done is we can't go back in time and say what would have been like if you would have just listened to your brain and not have done this. Like, what would your life look like if you would have ignored this? And
are you saying like a year ago, like if we would have like say, oh, hey, got the download, got the call, but then just said, no, that's too hard, not right now, maybe later, all of that kind of stuff, versus like knowing now is the time and saying yes. Just so you know, last year when we were in the process of moving, it was like the intensity of labor and birthing a baby. I remember like leaning against the counter and being like,
like panic attack,
like for something, who knows what it was about. And I remember waking up every morning and going, are we seriously stupid? Like, I love my bed. I love this view. I love where we are. What are we doing saying yes to this? And yet there was no going back. Like, I just knew it was an internal yes. And we've been listening long enough to our bodies and to that intuitive thing to say yes. And I would say, did that come up? I mean, the question that comes up is like, did that come up again after moving? I would say like about a month and a half in August was the first time that I was like, I really miss my house. Like, what did we just do?
There are going to be some of those weird tentacles that like tear at you a little bit, for sure.
Yeah. But otherwise, for the most part, it's so awesome. But it's coming from that place of knowing and doing what you know is right, and being committed to doing and being committed to listening to yourself, no matter what everybody else thinks or says. Because I can tell you, if we would listen to everyone else, we would not be here.
For sure.
The voters on the other side. Yeah.
And we don't expect that every day is a magical paradise where you are. Because everybody's like, oh, we told you so. Right? Like you have one bad day, like something crazy happens. Oh, we told you so. You shouldn't have went to the jungle.
Like not having internet for
exactly.
Spiders, the snake that was outside our front door when we first moved in.
But that's just life. It doesn't matter where you are. You're gonna have like these crazy things happen. So what are you gonna have regrets about all your choices? Like so many people,
you're exactly right.
So many people, like especially like the boomers or like our parents, they just want us to be safe, but safe to them means them feeling comfortable knowing exactly where you are. You're doing the exact same thing. And if you do something insane like this, I don't know how to handle it. So you're obviously doing something wrong.
Alex, you nailed it. That could literally be talked about, just that. Because other people keeping us safe, because what if what is scary to them, or something they didn't do that they kind of heard the call and they said no, or not right now, and then never did it. Other people keeping us safe is a full-time job for most people.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's in their best interest. It's not your best interest.
No.
But how insane is our generation where some of us actually listen to those people?
Right.
Obviously, we're not like that. Like, we're like, yeah, go, go, go. We're totally encouraging you.
We had a few people on that side. It was not very many. And we're like, we know our people. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to say that you and I are the OGs of encouragement.
Yes.
Of doing crazy things.
I mean, I encourage anybody who is listening to that voice, their voice or their feeling or whatever, right? But I am totally on board with encouraging that. What I would like to know is, spiritually, how has it changed for you?
So we've been going through a process because we stepped away from the home church that we were a part of about 18 months ago, which would have been 6 months before we were open to the move. And I think what we've been just going through sort of this transformational process is going from not just religion, but tradition or form to what is it that we're called to, and allowing our kids. Like, I think what really kind of opened this up even before we moved is when our son said that he felt called to the Army. And when a lot of people in our circle were like, you wouldn't be called to the Army. Like, why not? How do you know where God's calling us?
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
Like, each person is going to a different place. And so I think there was sort of this awareness of like the people in our circle weren't necessarily listening to that calling for themselves. And maybe we needed to be more clear on that even for ourselves. And stepping into the fear zone again, right? So spiritually, we have our kids are like, we're kind of almost creating space for something new to emerge, because it's kind of like when you go from one relationship, they say, what do they say? Like when you go from one relationship to another, what is that called when
rebound.
You have like a rebound?
Yeah.
Yes. So spiritually, how do you create space for not creating a rebound relationship of just recreating what you were doing before, but in a different relationship, right?
Right. Filling the void with the same stuff.
Totally. Yes. And so right now, we know that this has been a period in time for all of us to deal with what comes up. Like when we were living in a 4-bedroom apartment with 7 of us in a very cozy place, nice outside, but very cozy place. It was like, everyone deal with your junk. Like, there's no room for you to not be dealing with it right now. And we all started working on it in different ways. So what I would say, like spiritually, what we're really encouraging our kids to lean into is knowing who they are. We actually, our 18-year-old just read listened to the entire Gene Key book, which is like a Gene Key sequence talking about all the different gifts exist.
Oh, wow.
And he has been like processing what are the shadows that he might have in his life, and who is he, the best version of him. And then he's turning around and telling all the rest of us. So the rest of us are starting to read this book.
That's
but
amazing.
Like, it's been this really great independent spiritual journey, if that makes sense. And allowing them, there's conversations that the kids are having right now and exploring with different people and us that are testing us. And then it's like, how do we create space for letting them, like let them instead of judging? And so how do we come from a place of like, let them? That's where we're really,
right? I think that being able to define spirituality as soul growth opens that up to whatever you need in the moment, so that your soul can expand in the way that it's come to do. Because really, you strip away all labels, all religions, all organizations, we're all still having this human experience through soul things, right? Your soul should be leading, and how often it gets lost in everything else. So every chapter you have is an opportunity to expand your soul, and that's spirituality, when you're able to connect and resonate. So we have had our past guest left a question for you. So every time we have a guest, we ask them to leave a question, and they don't know who's coming on next. And it's been very intuitive so far. So I feel this is a really good question for you. If you were to have an experience again, in this 3D experience, your soul's like, I didn't quite learn what I wanted to, or I didn't explore what I needed to. What intention would your soul set for the next experience?
Oh, I'm going to have you come back to that because my mind is still a little bit stuck on the previous thing that you were talking about and realizing there was another piece that I wanted to add. So one of my gifts is super abundance. And when I meet the ocean is when I feel that soul expansion of cool. Oh, there's so much more here. Like when I go in the pool, and like to swim in water, that's nice. Then I go to the ocean and it just meets my soul where it is. And my kids don't have that same feeling. Like I'm like, do you guys want to go to the ocean? They're like, no, we're good. Really? Like how do I say it's okay? This is so anyway, can you ask the intention part again and bring me into that?
Right. So the soul, let's say for all intents and purposes, your soul has chosen this human experience because it wanted to grow in a way that this plane would offer that. Now, if you were to come back and do it again, what intention would your soul possibly set so that it could grow in a particular way?
Well, I think I'm going back to that superabundance thing again. Like, how can I come into this knowing that I'm here to help people and my life's work is superabundance. And if I'm coming from scarcity or, like limitation, where am I living that? And I didn't come to Mexico with the idea that it was going to create this space for abundance or that I was going to even become more abundant in the process. So that would be like with more intention.
That's awesome because I feel like so many things around us basically try to scare us into scarcity mindsets.
100%. Like whatever of what we're dealing with.
Capitalism or whatever. Yep. Everything is about scarcity and trying to put value on these things. But if you went away and you went into the ocean and all of a sudden your heart gets cracked wide open and you just feel like there's infinite love, there's infinite possibilities, why wouldn't you want to do that right away? Like to me, that would be that would be my thing too. It's like, oh God, I would want to feel that as quickly as I can and start working with that instead of waiting till we're like in our 40s and have this great, but still be great. I mean, I'm still grateful for all of these things. At least it's happening to me, but I would love to be younger, get in a time machine and be younger and start again.
Well, I think there's a huge responsibility to this next generation that is awakening more and being more connected to their soul and wants that. And then there's this responsibility that's coming with it. So like, it's a lot for them.
Oh, no for doubt. Sure. Mm-hmm. It is funny. Like we don't talk to our kids too much about, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right. Like the same way that your parents did.
Right. Yeah. It's not like, I don't think it's like that anymore.
I always there's an awareness. There's change. There's so much change. I mean, we're changing. Kevin and I have moved every 7 years. Kevin's changed jobs every 7 years. Like, I don't know what it is about the 7 thing, but we've been that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think you're a new person every 7 years.
Yes.
I think that is actual science where every single cell in your body has completely changed.
I cannot wait to meet myself 7 years from now. That's what I'm most excited to see. Yeah.
That's so amazing. What can I ask what your zodiac sign is?
Is it Cancer? I'm a July baby, July 8th.
Oh, July 8th.
Yeah, that is Cancer. And that makes so much sense that the ocean calls to you. That's
right.
It was just something, it's like, oh man, you have so much water energy.
Totally. Didn't know.
That's amazing.
I would not have guessed that.
You wouldn't have guessed Cancer. I was guessing Pisces because to me you have this like really wisdom. There's this wisdom energy to you, and I'm like, she seems like she's learned many lessons. So.
I always I like Jaime so much. So I'm like, she's got to be April or early May, like because I always get along with April people so well. So
I'm the surprise July for you.
Oh, you are a surprise.
I don't know what it is in my design, but. Not only, so superabundance is my life's work, but then I have 3 of these gene keys that are awakening and like pretty much to the point of shock or agitation if it's not in my best version. Like, that might have explained a lot of the previous me. Like, what? Poking people? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So what do you think you would ask the next person on our podcast? What would you want to know that would make you want to tune in and hear what their answer is?
Okay. Well, since you asked that way, I'm going to go here. And I don't know how you would reword this or make this a thing, but I really want to know what people think they see in the future as coming that is so different in terms of like business, the banking industry. Like, how is this? I feel like we're in a transition from like the days when they went from a horse to a vehicle and they didn't know everything in their life that was going to change because of this. I think financially, like with the banking industry or just globally, the way that work is being done, there's this huge shift in, and maybe even to the spiritual side, right? Of like from this 3D world, people are talking about 5D world. I don't even, what's a 5D world? So anything in that realm that sounds like a question. Have you been
listening to my conspiracy podcast?
No.
No? Okay. Because I was just talking about this. I was just talking about how America is the bodyguard of the Federal Reserve, and all the leader,
that's what's happening.
All the leader has to do, all the president has to do, the fake leader. But we need like a crazy person like Donald Trump to be like, no, I'm not listening to you anymore. I'm the king, and turn the guns around on the Federal Reserve, burn it down, and go back to a gold standard. Because all this fakeness, it's not meant for our world. Like
I don't know. I feel like we're moving from the tangible to the intangible in terms of like digital currency, not owning things. Like we just all somehow exist and live in like in this beautiful way, and maybe more spiritually. But I don't know. My brain doesn't know how to move from the tangible to the intangible right now. So if you could like help me with that, that would be really great.
I hear you on that. I was a huge fan of digital currency before finding out that there's ways that they can very easily turn it off or turn it on and ways to control. And I liked the idea of it before, where it was very anti-government, where it was very, very private.
Totally agree
that's
with
the thing that we want. We want autonomy. We want privacy. We want to be able to conduct business without this overlord hanging over us.
Totally. Yeah.
And I see Mexico being awesome for that, actually.
I'm going to tell you something random. I don't know if you know this or not, but did you know that marijuana is illegal in Mexico?
What?
It's illegal or legal?
Illegal.
What? How?
I know, right? Apparently, if you're getting marijuana, just assume it's coming from the cartels because it's actually illegal. Like random things you didn't know.
That's so weird. So we were talking to Mike Spice about Peru, and they had all these signs and crap during COVID. And he was like, oh, we're not vaccinated. And they're like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. That's just a sign. Just come in. We want your money. We want to do it. This is just virtue signaling to pretend like we care what the government says. Right. To me, that's what I think about Mexico and marijuana, too. It's like we got enough problems that we don't need to worry about a plant, you know?
Apparently not. So just the awareness that a lot of the things that we've been told or a lot of the things that we might think about something or someone isn't necessarily the truth.
Interesting.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it all depends on who wants to regulate what and make money off of what. So if Jamie White and Kevin want to start selling like 50 kilos of marijuana every month, that's going to be a big problem. We can't have that. That's not the industry we want.
I'm an advocate for small business. So like the marijuana industry being able to go after the tobacco industry in the US, I thought that was great.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm kind of, a little bit of a rebel if it's like pro small business. Yeah.
For sure.
So you said that maybe you wanted to ask us. Is there anything you want to ask us before we wrap it up?
Oh my goodness. This has been so good to talk to you guys again. And thank you for all of your questions. I would just love to know if, moving is potentially in your future or what big things that you have on the whisper of your heart.
Yeah, it's funny. I took Alora to Starbucks. She's our oldest. And I took her to Starbucks the other day. She's 16. She's in a very serious relationship. She has made it her purpose to go out and find exactly what Alex and I have. So meeting at 15, knowing that we were meant to be, and this is it, and for her heart, that's what she wants too. And she has found that, and he's lovely, and there's potential here. So for me to uproot that right now, after I've already done that once, I can't just do it without putting in a lot of thought, feeling, prayer, everything that you would think. Like you have to sit a moment with it. And we're so close to being able to say, you know what, you don't want to come with us. That's okay. You're old enough. You can stay here.
Right.
We're almost there. We're on the cusp of that. So I think that we do have to wait at least another year or two, and then We get to go where we feel called to go, and we're very open to the call. We've answered the call before, so we know it's coming.
Yeah, I'm okay with multiple properties. I don't know how difficult that would be. Also, I would be okay with leaving Canada. Like I would leave Canada in a heartbeat.
There are so many Canadians here. I mean, honestly, like it is just incredible.
She hates the winter. And I'm like, come on, woman. Jaime, how many tarantulas have you seen?
Oh, Brennan apparently attracts the spiders. And so he gives us a daily update that he killed another spider. I haven't seen any of them. So that's not true. I saw one, but otherwise they're attracted to Brennan or something.
I'm not that scared of snakes, but like tarantulas and like hairy spiders.
Not that level. No, they look like, the thing is that everything looks so different that it kind of freaks you out because you don't know if you should be afraid of it or not, And so it takes a little bit to realize like they're fine. They're going to, the spiders are not tarantulas though.
Okay. Well, I will have a shotgun on me at all times in the jungle.
That's very Canadian of you.
Mexicans think it's hilarious that we sell guns at Walmart. They're kind of like, what? You sell fruit on one side and then guns on the other, like ammunition. Yeah. And they also think it's hilarious that we have depression ads, depression medication, depression ads. I'm like, wait, you don't have those here? Like, I thought that was the only thing that they had for ads on TV.
Isn't that crazy that America and New Zealand or America and Australia are the only two countries in the world that advertise pharmaceuticals?
We don't do that here. So when we travel to America, I'm like, what's with all the commercials on the drugs?
Yes.
Like, no, it's gets rid of your headaches, but it will liquefy your spine and you'll have suicidal thoughts. But hey, you won't have a headache anymore.
But no, you can't get a gun very easily. I mean, all the security people, I don't even know if any of them carry guns. I think they're just checking your license to make it look like they're not letting in, I think they're keeping out the salespeople more than they're keeping out the bad guys.
Oh, nice. That's funny.
Nobody likes a salesman.
No solicitors.
Right. No solicitors. Yeah. So, anyway, any other bold moves that we should watch for?
My takeaway, we always talk about our takeaways, and I think my big takeaway is I'm gonna spend the next little while listening to my calling. I don't think that I've been doing that enough. So thank you for that, Jaime. I'm gonna be going and meditating on the calling and trying to listen to what I really want that next chapter or what I want this chapter to keep morphing into.
I feel like there is something big and bold coming because we're in this weird transition gap right now where he is so employable, but he cannot find a job, and so the income is on me, but I'm not enjoying myself anymore. And that was a major shift lately too. So we're going to be in big trouble if the next thing does not come soon, but we have the faith that something is coming.
Well, what you said though about your calling, there's a part that it requires letting go of something. And usually there's something we need to let go of that we're maybe not even aware of it. In order to say yes to what's coming. So there's that. And the other question that I love to ask people, I used to ask people, if you had $100 million, what would you do? And most people said they would travel and pay off their kids' houses. So I switched the question to, if you're a billionaire, what is it that you're mostly doing with your life? Like, how are you serving? What is the problem that you're called to serve? And that finally got people out of the idea that they were paying off their mortgages and traveling. Like, guys, you're a billionaire now. Like, let's reshift. Yeah.
I would totally spend my days building that big, beautiful property with, hosting people. I would totally love that.
We're still, no matter what, money or not, we're still going to host. We do that still in this tiny house that we live in. We're still hosting a lot of people. And I think that for sure we would be podcasting because this is fun. This is something that we do all the time that we're not getting paid to do, but it's so much fun. We're learning so many things that money or not, we're still podcasting.
I'm going to make a couple of introductions like I usually do, but I also love the hospitality industry and the boutique hotel industry. Like, I think there's the wellness tourism. I think there's some space for the hands-on work, but in a different way.
My biggest frustration, because I love working with Kati, my biggest frustration is seeing the corruption of Google, because I was doing search engine optimization. And I was doing all these things, Google ads and things like that, and seeing how something that I really truly enjoyed morph into this monster that isn't what it once was, and how they're using AI and yeah,
So you're no longer, it was no longer in alignment for you
right.
to,
I feel bad talking to, well, I'm honest with people. I'm like, no, this
right,
isn't going to work. This will work. I
right.
mean, this person can always make a beautiful website, a beautiful brand. You're super, super talented. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, I'm kind of the bookkeeper. I do the meetings, I do the business development, but it's time to do something bigger for me again.
The tangible, something that you can feel good about working with your hands on.
Yeah, well,
Creating.
we still want to do
creator.
very big things, very big things. So it's tough kind of having the kids rooted down.
I'm very excited for you. There's lots of big things. This is a great conversation. You just like literally dropped. You know,
Yeah.
I've realized that I'm here because of my super abundance, like my life's work. And I realize now that like my kids complaining to me, that was actually what I was supposed to be doing with clients. Cause you know, my son would go mountain biking and then I would be like, do you want to like join Red Bull Rampage? And they're like, Mom, I just told you that I enjoyed mountain biking in the woods. Do you have to take everything to like a whole nother level?
Yeah.
So like I am only here to help clients that want to take massive action and they know they're called to something big and they've known this for a while, because if you're here to mow the lawns 9 to 5 or even retire, like I am not the right fit. Most of my clients are like 58 to 62 and they're like, I'm not done yet. Like, all right, let's unpack this. Yeah.
Right. Well, I hope
So
that
now I'm
you'll be up
excited.
to come back again and do a part 2.
Yes, of course. This is so great. All right.
Thanks.
Thanks to you. It's because you're so good at nurturing relationships and cultivating that I have this opportunity.
It's so funny because she got so, I don't know, I got crap one morning so bad. She's like, when are you going to do this? And it's so funny how we communicate. And it has to get to this point where she's just basically gives me a kick in the ass where, okay, I'll go get the guests. Where she's like, she's tired of podcasting and just talking to me. And these few, like we've done what, four podcasts with guests now. And it's like energizing us beyond anything. It's way, way better to get kind of out of our own squirrely heads.
I would love for you to interview my son, Gavin, if he's up for another podcast.
Yes.
He is like, never know where it's going to go.
Well, and I was thinking when you were talking, I'm like, your kids should have their own podcast so that other kids could listen to them. Seriously.
There's this thing about letting them be like hermits or like letting them be comfortable. And then like, how do you let them be visible and when and where? And so I am taking my 9-year-old to do a photo shoot because he wants to be a model. But otherwise, this online space of like, how do we even support them with these new jobs? Like teaching kids how to do what the next generation of people are going to be doing is not the same as like teaching them how to, peel potatoes. It's
right.
I mean, I don't know how to help them be and step in. So we're working on it, but it's slow.
I really do see the industrial school system. I see it collapsing. I think that it's totally a fake. It's an experiment. And people don't realize that it's only been like 100 and something years of this experiment, because before then, engineers, architects, all these incredible artists, none of them went to these fake schools. They
just started working up and learning their trade. And that's what we encourage our kids to just get really good at whatever it is. So we have one that is the 11-year-old. He is really good at like editing videos or editing. Like he just likes to take other people's products and then edit or tweak, and he's actually technical. The 9-year-old is the one that has the potential to be online, but his fears are, I need to look good in front of people. And so then that keeps him, so we're working on fears for a 9-year-old, but our 5-year-old, I think he is meant to be like a live streamer because he can play video games and talk the entire time.
That's a thing. And
like
people
that's
make
just not
good
even
money doing
podcasting,
that.
right? He's going to be great. I'm letting him master his craft, even if it's in the gaming world. Like there's huge money in whatever we're called to. Like that's where we're called to be, money or not, but there's huge money in gaming.
Yeah, when you're in alignment, support comes.
Exactly.
If he's a great entertainer, the sky's the limit.
He has been working on it, even from a 5-year-old, and we have let him.
Good for him. That's
And
amazing.
good for you guys.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah.
We'll see. It's in beta. We'll let you know.
It's better than putting them in a school for 8 or 9 hours a day as daycare.
Yeah.
And them learning things that they don't need at all.
No. Mm-mm.
So
I
there you
know.
go.
All right, nice little
All right,
tangent.
I have more
Trying to
guests
wrap
for
it
you.
up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where can everyone find you? Because they need to find you.
In Mexico, you mean? Oh, wait. Our website is
How do people
believecrew.com.
find you? Yeah.
Believecrew.com.
Believecrew.com. And then what about your socials? Can people follow your adventures?
Yes, on my Facebook page, except for Jamie White is very hard to find. I spelled like Jaime, but Jamie White and Believe Crew combined. Usually you can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. I actually am locked out of my Instagram, and I'm taking that as a sign.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't fight it.
It's a
I'm
time.
not fighting it.
Well, I'll put some of those links in if you're cool with that. And
Yes, of course.
I hope a whole bunch of people reach out to you because, man, you're the bomb.
Thank you, Alex. Kevin and I are going to be sharing more about like what is it that people need to consider, because this nomadic lifestyle, and not necessarily nomadic, but creating a family lifestyle that's a little bit more global, or just creating a more global perspective, is the people that we're called to support.
Nice.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you very much. And we're going to call that one a very successful wrap.